Today, we are diving deep into the heart of the Kurukshetra War. We're not looking at the very beginning or the final day. No, we're focusing on a series of absolutely brutal, game-changing events that really mark the point of no return. That moment when all the rules were shattered and the fight for what's right took a very, very dark turn.
You see, for the first 10 days of the war, things were, believe it or not, managed with some restraint by the Kaurava commander, Bhishma. But now, there's a new general in charge, and everything is about to change. The goal is no longer just victory, but as the source says, maximum damage. The gloves are completely off, and the new aim is just utter annihilation.
So, on the 11th day, the great teacher Drona takes command. And the first order he gets from Prince Duryodhana is simple and, well, brutal. Morale is low, and he needs a major Pandava casualty, and he needs it fast. Drona, unlike his predecessor, is more than willing to make that happen. And this contrast really reveals a fundamental shift in the entire philosophy of the war. Bhishma, the grandsire, he was trying to win with the least amount of harm possible. But Drona's strategies, they're designed for one thing and one thing only: maximum damage. This isn't just a change in leadership, it's a full-blown escalation into total war.
This new brutality really comes to a head on the 13th day. The war up until now had mostly been a conflict between seasoned warriors. But what happens next? It makes things deeply personal for the Pandavas and sets in motion a terrible, terrible chain of vengeance.
So let me introduce you to Abhimanyu. He's just 16 years old, newly married, and he's the son of the legendary warrior Arjuna. He is so brave, so skilled, and absolutely desperate for his chance to prove himself. And he has this very unique piece of knowledge. He actually overheard his father describing a complex battle formation while he was still in his mother's womb.
And Drona's terrifying plan is to use this very formation, the Chakra-vyuha, or the wheel formation. It's basically a death trap, and only one person on the Pandava side knows how to get out of it, Arjuna. So what does Drona do? He cleverly has Arjuna lured to the complete opposite end of the battlefield, leaving all the other Pandava leaders totally vulnerable.
Abhimanyu steps up. He announces that he knows how to break into the formation, but he admits he doesn't know how to get out. So his uncle, Yudhishthira, gives him his word. We will follow right behind you and we will rescue you. But once Abhimanyu smashes his way in, the Kaurava warrior Jayadhrata slams the door shut, blocking the rescue party. The promise is broken and the boy is trapped, all alone.
What happens next is one of the most infamous, most shameful moments of the entire war. 7 of the greatest Kaurava warriors, including Drona himself and Karna, they all surround the 16-year-old. It's a disgusting violation of the rules of engagement. So many warriors ganging up on just one. They break his bow, his sword, his spear. He fights on with nothing but a chariot wheel until, finally, he is mercilessly cut down. When Arjuna returns to camp and learns of his son's horrific death, his grief just curdles into an unstoppable rage. For him, the war is no longer about duty or dharma. It is now a personal vendetta against the one man who sealed his son's fate, Jayadhrata. Now, Arjuna's vow raises the stakes to a whole new level. He doesn't just promise to kill Jayadhrata, he gives himself a deadline. If he fails by sunset the next day, he will end his own life. So the entire Kaurava army now has a single, simple objective: protect Jayadhrata for just one day, and their greatest enemy will eliminate himself.
All through the war, Krishna has been Arjuna's guide and his divine protector. But on this day, his intervention becomes more direct than ever. He isn't just guiding the chariot anymore. He's about to literally bend reality itself.
As the sun gets lower and lower, Arjuna is just nowhere near his target. It really looks like his vow is lost. But then, Krishna performs a miracle. He simply covers the sun, plunging the whole battlefield into a false twilight. The Kauravas erupt in celebration, and Jayadhrata, thinking he's safe, comes out of his hiding place, laughing in triumph. Guided only by the sound of that laughter, Arjuna lets his arrow fly. Krishna then uncovers the sun, revealing the trick just as the arrow finds its mark. And in one final, brilliant move, Krishna makes sure the arrow carries Jayadratha's head all the way to his father's lap. This triggers a curse the father had once made, causing his own head to explode. Vengeance is served, just in the nick of time. Well, Drona is enraged by this trickery. He basically says, if Krishna can make day into night, then we can make night into day. For the first time ever, he orders the fighting to continue after sunset. The battlefield, lit only by lamps and torches, just descends into pure, terrifying chaos.
Now let's talk about Karna for a second. You gotta remember, he was born with this divine armor that made him invincible. But out of this unparalleled sense of charity, he literally carved it off his own body as a gift to the god Indra. This incredible, selfless act, though, it came with a reward.
Indra gave Karna a celestial spear, a weapon that could only be used once, but was guaranteed to never miss its target. Karna has been saving it this whole time for his ultimate rival, Arjuna. But as this night battle rages, Krishna sees an opportunity. He summons Ghatotkacha, the half-demon son of Bhima, who is basically invincible in the dark. Ghatotkacha causes so much destruction that a desperate Duryodhana begs Karna to use the spear on him instead.
And this right here is a moment of cold, hard strategy. Krishna knows exactly what's going to happen. He sends Ghatotkacha into that battle knowing full well he'll force Karna's hand. He sacrifices an ally, Bhima's own son, just to eliminate the one weapon that could have killed Arjuna. The moral lines are getting incredibly blurry now, aren't they?
But even in death, Ghatotkacha serves the Pandava cause. At Krishna's command, as he's dying, he makes his body enormous, and it comes crashing down, crushing over 100 Kaurava soldiers, a final, devastating blow for his father's side.
So, the war has now cost the Pandavas a son and a nephew. But Drona is still out there, and he seems invincible. So Krishna comes up with one final, desperate plan. And this plan, it won't target Drona's skill or his weapons, it'll target his one emotional vulnerability, his absolute, unconditional love for his son, Ashwatthama.
The plan requires something that is just unthinkable. A lie from Yudhishthira, a man so famously truthful that his chariot is said to literally float above the ground. It creates this terrible moral question. Can a war for justice really be won with a lie?
So on Krishna's instruction, Bhima finds and kills an elephant that happens to be named Ashwatthama. Then all the Pandava warriors start shouting, "Ashwatthama is dead! Ashwatthama is dead!" A distraught Drona, refusing to believe anyone else, turns to the one man he trusts completely, his student Yudhishthira, and asks if it's true. And with the heaviest heart, Yudhishthira speaks the lie.
He tries to soften it. Right after saying those devastating words, he mumbles, "Maybe it was an elephant." But his voice is just lost in the noise of the battle. All Drona hears is that his reason for fighting, his beloved son, is gone.
And the effect is immediate. A broken Drona drops his weapons, sits down in meditation, and just gives up the will to live. It's in that moment that the Pandava commander Drishtadyumna steps forward and beheads his unarmed teacher. The texts tell us that at the very moment Yudhishthira told his lie, his chariot, for the first time ever, touched the ground.
From the murder of a child to the cold-blooded sacrifice of an ally to a devastating lie, the Pandavas paid an incredibly heavy moral price for their victory. And it all leaves me with this one unsettling question. Even when you're fighting for a just cause, are there some lines that should just never, ever be crossed?